That there's two major issues, but not issues in a sense like, oh well, you're black or you're trans, but it's big issues. So
yeah,
my question is, are you black before you trans?
I think so. I mean, I think that that's the reality of the situation, you know, because I am fortunate enough to navigate through day-to-day life and not sort of be picked out all the time as a trans person.
Okay.
But being black is something that I cannot, like, that's there. So I do think I'm black for trans. And I do think it's very important for me to identify as a black trans woman because
I respect that.
Because that's very, very who I am, and it's also a part of my strength. It's a part of my power.
Absolutely. I like that she said power.
Yeah, yes. No, it definitely is, and I think that for me, being black is sort of like where everything starts. Culturally, I was raised in a black family, and I was, you know, brought up that way, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, you answered the question, like, so if there was a situation, well, same difference, you black before you trans, so
black before you trans.
Black issues would always be firsthand,
yeah,
and then it'll be trans
well,
issues?
I think,
or do it go hand in hand?
I don't know. I mean, trans
have you ever thought of it?
I haven't, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm here stimulating your mind.
But I think, you know, I think we're in the same place, to be honest with you. You know, black struggle is a struggle in society. And it's, you know, people wear masks when they deal with black related issues. And the same as trans now. You know, people are not out saying, I hate trans people anymore. They were. So they, you know, the same as they were with black people. They would say, oh, I hate black people. And these aren't things that are happening anymore. There's, you know, people are wearing masks before they address either of the topics. But I do feel like in certain areas of life, being trans is more of a deal to other people before me being black. In some situations. Like the medical situation. Being trans is more of an issue than being black, you know, or...
Good point, because I was like, but that is a great point. It depends on the situation.
Or if it's like in the model industry, you know, being trans might not be the thing.
Right.
But if you were black, that's what they're looking for. You know? So it's, you know, it's twisted. It goes back and forth.
It goes back and forth, definitely based on issues. I respect that. I definitely do. So what is your reality being a black trans woman?
My reality is, first of all, I'm strong.
Okay. Yes, you look as fuck.
Let me say that. Secondly, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes.
You know, I love it. I love everything about it. Like, I love being black.
Absolutely.
I love being trans.
Right.
And I love being a black trans woman.
Yes.
You know, that's my reality.
Absolutely.
I can have whatever I want. I can do whatever I want.
Absolutely.
And that's the life I live.
Yeah, so you've heard, as you guys heard, she's a model. Yeah. So I want to touch more on being a model while trans. So how has that been? How did you jump into modeling while being trans? What did you experience? Especially for those that want to get into it.
No. So I just moved to New York City.
So where are you from?
No, originally I was in D.C.
Oh, you from D.C.?
Yeah, and I moved to New York City. This is my 3rd year.
Oh.
And literally, it just happened. You know, I moved to New York. And like they say, that's where you go and you do whatever you want to do. Your dreams are made. That's how it worked out for me. But I think now being a trans model is in. It's the in thing in the fashion industry. If you're trans, that's what they're looking for.
So they have the look. With
that. Trans people are on every runway, every high fashion runway.
Well, I could see that being because when there was Grace Jones and women like that, they love the strong features. They want that. So trans women have that.
Yeah. I think we had to get over the over-sexualized look before we were able to transition into fashion, in my opinion. And not necessarily the look, but the being categorized in that way. Because before, you know, this generation, if you thought of a trans person, all you thought of was either an escort or a porn star.
Absolutely.
You know, that was it. You know, and that's what we. That's
they
what
sexualize it.
That's what they marketed transness towards, a fetish. You know,
a fetish, most definitely.
And you know, we've come beyond that now, and so people are actually. And the newer generation of trans people are actually like, they have the resources now to like, they're in college, they're like, you know, they're living their lives. You know, there's trans people out here doing everything. There's trans doctors I know of, lawyers I know of, you know, producers, like, you know, look at the show Pose. Look at that show, you know, produced by trans
rappers,
written by
trans rappers,
trans rappers, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because they have this Star, I think her name was Sydney Star. Yes. So I definitely believe that we're opening up, but we have so much more. We have so much more that we have to do because the violence, the hate crimes. How did you feel when they first made the law? I don't know how to word it, but the law that when you attack a trans person, it's a hate crime.
I think that it was accurate to say that.
Right.
You know, so I feel like that's right on. I don't want to speak from a perspective of bias though, because I am trans.
Okay.
So I want to be realistic and say that violence is happening everywhere. Everyone's experiencing violence, and I don't want to say like just because there's like violence with a trans identified person that it's a hate crime. Okay,
I like that. I like that because I'm not gonna speak for anyone else because I've never attacked or ever been in a physical altercation, but I could see that probably like 1% of it is not because the person's trans. Maybe it was a personality thing, or maybe they just had a fight or something like that.
So I think that like, so you know, what if we see these things all the time, like someone's in like the grocery store and like they, for whatever reason, start fighting over like a carrot or something. Like it will be unfair for that person to then be categorized as a hate crime person.
Yeah. I wonder if they measure that. I wonder if like if it's automatically associated with okay, that's a hate crime versus like they measure the situation. Probably do.
Now we have these situations in the trans community where I know for sure that trans women are dating these guys, and then you know, these guys start to like develop all these feelings for this person, and then the trans woman wants more, and then they can never do that because of their own issues, and they end up, you know, murdering the trans person. You know, now that to me, I don't know, it's just tricky. How do you categorize that? It's a love-hate crime. It's a love-hate crime, but you know what? It's a very sad thing, and so many trans people have lost their lives to those kind of situations in the community. And so I do want to shine light on that and say that, like, definitely. You know, people have to be cautious of who they love and who they share themselves with, and also like people on the other end, like people have to be a little more secure within who they are and the decisions that they're making. And like realizing that if you're going to do these things, you need to be able to live with it, you know, because we can't do anything in the dark. It's going to always come out. That's it. That's all. You know? And the embarrassment behind it is good. So good for them, you know. All over TV. We killed this trans woman because we were sleeping with her. Great. There you go. Go to prison for it.
So like you said, you have to live within your truth, and I think that's important too. Like a lot of men like transgenders are like, you know, males, and then they figure that they don't want to be public with it, or they're not gay in public, and then we have these crimes that happen. So I do think it's very important to know who you're dealing with, because if you see that person is like that, I think that's a red flag regardless. So that's me going into ask, do you feel like transgender should disclose that they're trans?
I think that trans people individually should decide what's best for them. I think for me personally, I don't want to date someone who is not comfortable dating me. Just from the beginning. I don't want to waste my time. I don't have time to give away for something that's not real.
Absolutely.
You know, so for me, 100%, And also, I want to live, you know. So.
Yeah, because it's true, because a lot of these crimes stem from maybe, I'm not 100%.
But also, you know, I mean, yes.
Could you see both ways? Could you see, I want to know, like, how do you feel about someone not disclosing? Like, what?
I think that, you know,
that
to me is, you know, they're living a lie, you know, that's the thing that happens when you don't disclose. But also, it's a thing that, you know, some trans people are different. I'm a very different trans woman. Let me tell you something. I'm comfortable being trans, and
Absolutely.
That's me. But there are a lot of trans women who are not comfortable being identified as a trans woman.
That's what I was about to say. Is it more of an identity thing within themselves?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to tell him or her that I'm trans because I'm a woman. Like,
and that's how they feel. And they feel like you know, rightfully so, they feel like I've sacrificed, I've done all these things, this is what I deserve. So I don't want to offend anyone and speak on that, but I don't do that. Okay. You know, I feel like, you know, the other person has a
right. Absolutely. That's how I feel. Like, I don't want to offend anyone either, but I just feel like you're making a decision for the other person, which could possibly not be fair.
I find it hard to believe also, you know, that, you know, I mean, I don't know, I'm a trans woman. I think I'm attractive. I live a great life.
Absolutely.
I live my life day to day. And I just, you know, I just really find it hard to believe that a man
doesn't
know that he is with a trans woman.
I can see that too.
I mean, no, there are the cases.
No, actually, I'm lying. There are. I was on Instagram the other day, and I swear to God, if this female didn't have that she was trans in her bio, I would have never known.
Well, there's some cases. It's a very rare case, though. You
I can see that.
The numbers are small. And also, Instagram is different, you know.
That's true, too. You're just seeing pictures and shit.
You know,
so
I mean, but we're talking about sitting down, waking up, going to bed. Having sex, going to the mall, you know, you're talking about like a whole full-on relationship. I find it hard to believe that a man can spend that much intimate time with someone and not think for one, you know. That's just me. And
what if it's like a one-night stand type of thing?
Well, that might be different. You know, drinking might be involved, you know, and things might happen. And I think, I mean, you know, I have to, like, be true to, you know, my trans sisters right here and say that, like, you know, if the one-night stand happens and they don't disclose, it's not that, I don't think it's the best thing to do, but I think it has to stop there.
Right.
You know, it can't roll over to the next day and, like, the next month.
It's extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
So how do you feel, and this might be tough and I might be wording it wrong, how do you feel about men that go through those situations where they did not know the person was trans and they inflict violence? Not killing, because killing, I feel like, is never justified unless it's a pedophile. But...
yeah. Well, I think...
it's tough.
Yeah. No, violence is never... I mean, you know, but you feel violated. I think, you know, it would be like me being raped by a man. I would feel violated, you know. And it's tough, you know. I don't know what to say. I think, you know, the emotions that a man feels when he's misled in that way, they're justified, but I don't think the violence is the way to go.
Okay.
I think that the emotions that he might experience, very much so, he should feel that way, and I support that because I believe in, like, being honest and living an honest life, and and you know, I can look at myself in those shoes, and I wouldn't be, you know, you wouldn't feel so happy about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. You know, people should have the choice regardless of who you are.
Yeah, and I think that that's the thing too. Like, you know, I want the choice of I want to choose my own life. I want to choose what I do. I want to choose my journey. And I feel like people, they want choices too.
Right.
You know what I mean, you can't take someone's choice away from them.
Right. Yeah. So how do you feel about people who say being transgender is a choice. I think that's one of the biggest things out here.
Well, it is, you know, the thing is, you think about it, you know you're trans and then you choose to transition.
Right.
You know,
okay, so yes.
You know, you choose to transition.
Wait, so, okay, so let's before you answer that, let's get back to the definition of transgender, because I keep hearing you say, just transitioning and then it's like you're already trans.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that? Like you're already trans. So is it a mental thing, like in your mind you feel like you're already a woman as being trans and then you transition, or?
I felt like before I medically transitioned, I felt like I was in the wrong body. I felt like my feelings were very strong towards not being a male.
Okay.
You know,
so that's the trans part of it.
For me.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm sure people will identify with me too, because a lot of people feel the same way.
Okay.
But I don't want to speak for everyone.
Absolutely.
They will take me down, girl.
Yes, listen, they are strong.
They will take me down. I will not work again. I will not do that.
Girl.
But I think for me, like, I knew I wasn't a guy. You know, I was like, this cannot be how I... And so for me, it was transitioning after that.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then you know, being trans is something that we just proudly say. You know, being trans is like a cool way of saying, like, oh, I was born one way and now I'm another way. You can explain the whole thing.
Do you like that term?
I'm empowered by it today.
Okay.
You know.
So before,
I wasn't
would
ashamed.
you beat somebody up for like, I'm not trans?
Oh, I wouldn't beat him up, but I would definitely like be like, are you serious?
Really?
Yeah, like, you know, when I was younger, I wanted to like pass all the time, you know?
As a woman.
So if I got sort of like clocked as a trans person, it would like hurt my feelings, you know? I'm sensitive.
Yeah, so basically, if someone didn't identify you as being a woman, it was more so you or more so the person like, hello? Some people can be very rude, and some people could be very offensive. We'll know that you're trans, and this is what you identify as, but still will be rude to say like, sir, or that's a man.
That would light me on fire.
Still to this day.
To this day. I
seen the video.
Which in the grocery store?
Yeah.
And all that?
Yes. When it was, did you see it? So
no, I would not act like that.
Oh, okay.
I just
she flipped.
That's not, you know, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Acting out like that is never going to get.
So how do you react?
I'll do a little read. I'll give them a little attitude, and I'll walk away. You know, I'm not going to stand there and yell and scream and.
Do you still go through those issues?
I don't. No,
oh, okay.
I haven't in years and years and years. I'm very grateful for that.
Yes.
But I could tell sometimes that people are looking like, okay, you know, or they're trying to process what they should say because they've been informed of how to address it. You know,
that's
like, okay,
me sometimes.
I'm
like
gonna make sure I say the right thing. Yeah. And there's a delay in communication, so that happens.
Do you respect that though?
I do.
Yeah.
I do because they're trying.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That for the most part, that's how I feel. I'm like. Let me think before I speak, because I never want to make somebody feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Like, oh my God, if this is what you identify as, this is what you identify as. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but that's not for you to judge. You know what I'm saying?
And also, I think, you know, it's very big of the person to even take the time to consider that. You know?
Okay, yes.
Because so many things go in one ear and out the other ear, you know. But today you see people actually trying to like.
So are we moving? Like, is society moving?
Oh, society has moved a lot.
Okay.
We've definitely moved a lot.
Okay.
You know, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And also, it's like, what more can someone in my shoes ask for?
Yeah.
You know?
I think